Welcome back. This is Dominate Today. I am Victor Vinico Johnson, founder of Nico Don Projects. I have my right-hand man over here, Brandon Powell, Lean on Him Consulting. Absolutely a pleasure to have some of our guests from last night. I just got a whole nother energy, and I've been excited all day about coming back in here, sharing some good information. Brandon dropped some jewels about business and branding yesterday. He'll go a lot deeper today. I'm going to talk some more about real estate investing. And again, this entire 3-day training is all about giving you information that you can actually take away with and immediately implement so that you can dominate in your business, dominate in your personal finances in 2021. This is not a sales pitch. This is not a gimmick. This is real content that we're giving you. Obviously, there will be people that want additional support. We got some opportunities where just because this is a private setting, we have knocked down some of our consulting fees. So you'll see some of that later. But this is truly about you paying attention, taking screenshots, writing down notes, and finding a way to implement the information that we're sharing with you immediately, because you cannot dominate unless there's an action involved. All right, Mr. Powell, you want to say anything as we get started, sir?
No, I'm gonna just say I echo every word. I'm very grateful and I'm excited. I'm gonna tell you one thing that really impresses me as a consultant or anybody that gives information. When you can tell a person is interested in receiving and they have the anticipation to apply it, I mean, that just is the kind of energy you want. I mean, head nods and saying that's a good point. I like that too. That's verbal or visual confirmation. But when I really see a person is asking questions, they actually have intention to apply it. I mean, this kind of information, I'm confident to say this. For those that are here for the next 3 days, 2 days left, I think you're going to get information that you can apply for the next 3 years, if not longer. So that's how confident I have the stuff that we are covering. And I'm grateful for those that are here.
Absolutely. So thank you so much. We don't have a whole lot of time, so we want to dig right in. Again, the first few slides, if you were here yesterday, you'd probably be familiar with those, but we want to make sure people know who we are, what we do, why we do it, that kind of thing. So welcome officially to Dominate Today. Again, I'm Victor Johnson. I'm partnered here with Brandon Powell, and this is a 3-day free training from 7 p.m. until about 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And Mr. Powell is the founder of Lean on Him Consulting. He is a family man and small business consultant, 14 years of experience as an entrepreneur. He has harnessed the skill to communicate and connect with his clients. Brandon enjoys the fact that his approach is scalable to any business. One week, he may be sitting down with a chamber of commerce, and the next week, an aspiring startup company. He does use that experience and background in consulting, branding, and business strategy to increase your revenue and your earning potential for the clients that he works with. And I got to say it, I don't know a whole lot of people on this planet that wrote 5 books, but he's somebody that I know on this planet that wrote 5 books with his latest book, The Art of Business. And please give him a virtual round of applause, please. It's worthy. I believe it's worthy. All right.
Thank you.
I guess
Thank you
I
very
should be
much.
sharing the screen as well. Hold on tight. Yep.
Appreciate that. I call those cartoon claps. Appreciate that.
Exactly. That's him. Look at that serious. Serious about them clients, but yes, sir. Ooh, yep.
I had lotion on in that picture too. My wife would be proud of me.
Nice. Nice.
Want to introduce as well a good friend of mine, Victor Vinico Johnson, founder of Nico Don Projects, trademarked the tagline "Create Your Future Self." A great man who lives what he teaches and is very passionate about what he does. And I'm just honored to collaborate with him in the things that he does. Um, I think we lost our screen for just a second.
Sorry about that. Is it there now?
Yes, back.
Okay.
Author of Proven Pathways to Wealth and Happiness, a consultant, real estate investing, and entrepreneurship, credit coaching, 6 years as a real estate investor, and also with his other company, 555 Equity. And he's an inspirational speaker. And that is true in the sense, like I've told the group from last night, you get to know a person very well when you actually are in the trenches working with them on projects. Um, and I've been honored to work with Victor. You're in for a treat. Anything dealing with real estate, investing, pay close attention because he is a man that has a lot of value to offer. So we appreciate him as well. Give him a cartoon clap, if you will.
Let's do it. Thank y'all very much. Thank you very much. All right. Very good. And again, this is called Dominate Today. Dominate Today. So we must know what the word dominate means, right? So again, it is an action verb, meaning that you must take action in order to dominate. It is having commanding influence on or exercising control over something. And we're not looking for anybody to be a dictator of other people like that. I mean, you run your business how you run your business, but this is more so about you dominating in your personal business and you dominating in your personal finances in 2021. No more being squeamish and like the 2020, but the future you is dominant, powerful, confident. And even if you have fear in you, you're moving forward with that fear. So let's get into it, sir. Did you want to share your whiteboard? I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing this screen.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it. You guys are sacrificing your time, so we want to, as I usually say, I'm gonna give out the good stuff. I don't want to hold back. I'd rather give as much as I can within the time that we share than to hit a lot of high points. This is a time to dig a little bit deeper. So many of you registered and you filled out some of the questionnaire points, and so what I want to do tonight is kind of drive into that. Let's start with one of the more common things that I run across and have to talk about with clients, which is defining your target audience. So let's start with that. All right. So who wants to take a stab at it? Tell me how, if you were giving your definition of this, how would you describe what a target audience is as a business owner? Well, how would you define it? Anyone, if you want to chime in, give your feedback, give your thoughts before we start going into an explanation. What's your thoughts on that?
Brendan, J Mac here.
Yes, sir.
I think your target audience is what I call the ABC, and that's your absolute best client. And so most people talk about their target audience being everybody. And like I think one of you gentlemen said last night, if everyone is your target, then no one is your target.
Mm-hmm.
The absolute best client is the one that's going to bring you the most revenue with the least amount of stress and anxiety.
I love it. I love it. And if you all don't know, this is the great, the wonderful, magnificent John Mack. I guarantee you, he has probably a professional saying for every letter in the alphabet. You know how he spit out that ABCs real quick, so y'all take notes on that too. We certainly appreciate that, Dr. Mack. I think that's a great explanation. So what I like to do as a teacher and educator, I like to give phrases and concepts that make it easy to remember. Whenever I'm teaching and I'm covering so much information, you need kind of anchor points in the concept. So what I like to use is what I call the $1,000 rule to explain this. All right. So what's the $1,000 rule? What that is, it's a metaphor. It's an explanation of, if you're trying to generate revenue, preferably $1,000, and if you're a company that's just getting started, or you don't even offer a product or service that's worth $1,000, that doesn't matter. It's a metaphor. So whatever price point you offer to your clients, that's the rule of thumb to keep in mind. $1,000 rule means, as Mr. Mack pointed out, you're trying to generate that in the most efficient way possible. Well, your target audience, they typically can consume your product or service within 1 to 2 transactions if they are your target audience. Now, there's certain traits that these individuals will have, and it doesn't matter the industry, in my opinion, from what I've seen, because I work with all kinds of industry. I don't really specialize in one type of small business client. So I'm gonna give you those 3. Here's the 3 traits. When they have these 3 traits, typically they are the kind of clients that can consume your $1,000 product or service within 1 to 2 transactions. which is very important. So the first thing is they're going to have what I call financial capacity. Now I'm up here using big phrases and all that, but that's just basically saying you got the money. Just to put in layman's terms. But financial capacity is what that means. The second thing is perceived value. Okay. The third thing is compatible interest. Okay. So these are the three. Now, they need all three. Here's why. Because if you run into, and I'm sure you all have run across, those that have been in business at least 6 months or 3 years and more, you run across these kind of situations. You sit down with a client and compatible interests, meaning you have something that you can tell that they actually want or need or express interest in. You get to sitting down with them or you're talking on the phone and they're like, man, you know what? I think that I could utilize something like that. I think I need something like that. And you get to have a conversation, you get all excited. And then you go to say, well, here's what we can offer for you. And they say, oh, well, let me get back to you. Let me tell you something. If somebody say, well, let me get back to you, you already know what that phrase means. They're not getting back with you, or they're going to delay it. So compatible interest is there, but maybe the financial capacity isn't there. Somebody sitting down with you for 3 hours talking about how much they like what you offer, and then they say, well, you know what? I don't have the budget to do that. You want to find that out as quickly as you can, so that one, you can try to accommodate if you can and if you choose to, but you want to have all three criteria if this is going to be your target audience. Perceived value. This one is you have something that's worth $100 to you, but they don't feel it's worth $100. So they may have the money, but when they look at your product or service, they don't feel like it's worth it. So the way that typically works is they'll say things like, you know what, I like what you have here. Can you work with me? Can you give it to me for 50? And not every client that asks you for concessions on price, sometimes they don't do it because they don't have the money. Sometimes they say that because they don't feel like it's worth what you're charging. So we assume a lot of times people do that because they don't have the capacity. Sometimes they do it because they don't perceive the value at the level that you're charging. That's kind of where branding gets into the place as well. But so far, does this make sense? Any questions about this part? Because I'm going to expand further.
I have a comment if anybody doesn't have a question yet. So my comment would be that this particular strategy works in, I can't imagine any service or product that you would sell to the public that wouldn't make sense to this. I'm thinking about it as a landlord, since we're talking about real estate investing, if you buy a property and you're looking to rent this property out, you still have the person needs to be able to cover the rent amount that you're setting that market rent for that property. They need to see that the house is worth that to them, that their family is going to be, comfortable in there based on the value that they see that property as. And it's got to be compatible interest, because you have a house that they like, they have the money that you want to collect. So this strategy makes so much sense for any business owner, whether you're renting a house out to somebody, you're selling houses, selling widgets, or offering consulting. You still have to have those three pieces. This is golden information, brother. Thank you.
I definitely appreciate it. And I want to open up the floor because I'm kind of flowing through this pretty quickly, but the benefit of it is we're recording this so you can revisit it. But then also any additional questions or observations? John Mack, did we get it on point for you so far with what you were saying?
Absolutely. I'm just looking at I have a question, because I think this is so on point, it's ridiculous. And if you don't get it, you ain't trying to get it. But what happens when that scenario that you pointed out there, where they have the financial capacity and the compatible interest, but they don't think that their perceived value of your offer is not as high in their minds as you priced it. So are there techniques that you're going to share of how to increase that perceived value for them, or do you just need to just jettison and go to the next prospect?
I would say in some cases you would stay. In some cases you may need to move forward in a different direction. It just depends. But overall, here's my overarching theme, because here I am talking about target market, and you got to make the connection between branding. See, my principle is this: I cover stuff like this because I believe every 6 to 9 months, if you do certain things that we specifically teach, every 6 to 9 months, you should be able to increase your value in the market by at least 30% every 6 to 9 months. Why is that important? Because this is going to get to the perceived value challenge. If you increase your value to the market by 30%, guess what happens? The demand for your products and services has gone up. Also, what has the potential to go up is your pricing. Now, you don't just go up in pricing just because you think you're more valuable. Usually what happens is you've learned new deliverables. Now, I'm using a business term, but all that means is new types of products or features and benefits that you can add on that you weren't offering before. That's one of the ways that you solve it. But an immediate resolution is a different principle. I've got about 5 or 6 different connecting principles to this, but I will say this: it can be done in the short term as well as in a long-term strategy, because ultimately we don't want to be taking meetings and having 3 2-hour meetings, 1-hour meetings here and there, and then all of us getting all excited. We know how that feels. Have a great meeting, we all excited, palms sweaty, and then it doesn't work out the way we want. And it doesn't mean that everybody has to buy from us, but we certainly want to be efficient with our time, if that makes sense. So I'm about to make some space here. Let me give this connecting illustration. Thank you, Damien. Said this is so true. I certainly appreciate that comment. Now, this is something that I've heard people say, and you may have this sentiment, and John talked about it earlier. Someone says, I had some clients that say, you know what, everybody's my client. I don't want to miss out on any money. Well, that no one would disagree with that philosophy, but this is about efficiency, not about denying certain people in the market. So it would be similar to this. This is a dartboard, if you will. Let's say you got a dartboard, and thank you, Ms. Jackson, said so true. Let's say you got a dartboard here, and you got arrows that's going toward the middle. Typically, if you throw a dart, you're trying to hit the bullseye. The closer you are to the bullseye, the closer it's a representation of the clients who meet these 3 criteria. Well, guess what? Even when you play a dart game, every dart doesn't hit the center of the board. I mean, unless you just are that good at darts. So that's how it is in business. Now, here's the difference. I may have some darts that land out here, some that miss the board, some that almost get in the center. The goal is to hit the center. But guess what? If you don't have a target audience that you have planned and strategized to communicate with and market to, then you don't have a center dart. You don't have a center bullseye. You're just throwing darts and you're just happy with where they land. You don't have an actual targeted area to hit. See, I'd rather be aiming at a middle and hit off center or, way out, but at least I'm aiming specifically somewhere. Now, with that being said, there is a difference between who you pursue. Thank you, Vic. There's a difference between who you pursue versus who you receive. What does that mean? I'm going to, and this is how branding connects to it. Everything you create, from your logo, your marketing materials, flyer, website, it should be specifically tailored to communicate effectively the language that appeals to your target audience. That's not passive. That's very deliberate. That's pursuing them. Now, in the process of that, somebody else is going to be interested of what you do in the market. That means you receive them. So for example, if someone calls me tomorrow and says, hey, look, Brandon, I heard you do business cards. I do. We do design services for business cards and printing and so forth. And they say, you know what? I need 50 business cards by the end of the day. Can you get them to me? Well, my business structures, that's not my target audience. That's not the service that I provide in that way. So what am I going to do? I'm saying, no, man, you're not my target audience. You're beneath me. No, that's not how, that's not how you treat anybody. But what I'm going to say is, hey, we'd be happy to help you out. Here's how we can do it. We typically aren't able to do same day service. Are you in a position where we can design these for you, get a proof done, get your approval, and get these printed for you? Well, first of all, we don't even print 50 business cards. That's too low for us. We typically do 1,000 and above, but we can do smaller quantities starting at 100 or 250. But we're going to have that conversation because I'm trying to adjust to what they need without overextending myself. So they can then say, hey, look, that's something that fits for us, or we need them quicker. So we're going to go over to Office Depot or somewhere else that they're built to service that. But here's the key. I want clients that are my target audience, because I talked about earlier that when you find those kind of clients, how many transactions did I say it would take? 1 to 2 to generate $1,000. Again, it's just a metaphor. When you don't spend enough time identifying and servicing and pursuing your target audience, you can make the same $1,000, but let's say you only made it $10 at a time. How many clients do you have to see, talk to, laugh with, joke with, do lunch with to convert $1,000? You got to talk to 100 clients. That's 100 darts that missed the target. And I'm sorry, guys. I don't have that kind of time. It's not efficient. Now, if I can generate the same revenue in a fraction of the time, why wouldn't it be worth it to pursue, as I explained the definition of that, my target audience? All right. So with that being said, any questions about this illustration that I've covered so far? Does it make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yes. Awesome job.
All right. Thank you. I got some feedback there. All right. Is there any clarifying questions to this illustration? And see, if you were in one of my business coaching programs, we don't do any sessions without leaving with homework. Well, most of us are grown, so I don't use the word homework. I want you to feel like a student. So we call them action items. It makes you feel better. You feel like you're an adult. I don't have homework. I have action items. So thank you, Raquel.
I would say, right
It's so
here,
funny. I use that at home with the kids too. I tell them they have action items because we all run in a business here. So,
There you go. That's right.
So when
That's
you have
right.
action items and your homework from school is one of those. So let's get that done so we can move on
Yeah.
to the next thing. I think this was very clear. And I think a lot of times we do miss our target audience, or as we grow, we don't realize that our target audience has shifted, especially when we learn new tools or trades that we can implement into our business. So this is on point.
And I
Thank you.
think the other part on this, a great comment, of course, Raquel and Brandon, you definitely nailed it with this entire concept. But you can take this further, right? Like with your marketing, with your social media, you can talk directly to the center target right here instead of throwing darts all around the board. Our good friend of mine that does stuff on social media, and you've said this a million times too, Brandon. It's just like, talk directly to your audience. Like if you're doing videos or text wording in your captions, talk to them. Teachers of such and such income, right? Like talk to them, make people feel like, is she talking to me? He talking to me? Make people feel that way in your advertising, and you'll find yourself attracting more clients to you instead of chasing. You'd be like the cats that we just showed, chasing their tail instead of letting the information and the clients come to them directly. So that's a great, great concept.
Absolutely. And make no mistake, if you establish your brand the proper way, when you define your target audience, and because I like to give numbers, this stuff is cool and it's subjective until you deal with the numbers. When you take care of this, you can see your operation be optimized and perform at least 20% more efficient, because now you can generate more inquiries and acquisitions without doing the shotgun approach. Also, when you improve your brand, you increase your revenue even more. So the principle I like to say before I transition is, do you know who you're talking to? In regards to the market, you got to understand who you're talking to. What is it what's important to them, how to communicate with them. And there's several connecting concepts to this, but I at least wanted to start here. Again, we're going to have, for those that we spend more time with outside of this program, we want to dive in even deeper, but we're going to kind of give as much as we can on tonight as well as tomorrow. But just know there's so much more in store with this concept. Again, any additional thoughts or comments or questions?
This is awesome.
All right, let me go ahead and turn it back over to my guy.
Okay. So this is good stuff. And, again, for me, it's just all about having some idea or plan. I was one of those clients before I came to you, Brandon, that I just like, well, everybody want their credit fixed. I can fix everybody. Or, everybody can invest in real estate. Everybody can't invest in real estate. It's just not happening. And so once you become niched and really locked into who you really service, and a lot of times you look at yourself and it's you, it's who you were before, that now you overcame that fear, you overcame that struggle with your marketing or whatever, and now you're able to help somebody else. So you're in a business because in most cases you did come through some kind of valley, and you're now able to say, I'm an expert at that and I want to help somebody else. So a lot of times you could just look at yourself, at least where you were before you got your business, before you even had this concept, and how would you attract yourself to your business, if you're in that business, right? So just something to think about. And again, everybody here now knows that my slogan is create your future self. And that's not just something catchy to say, like I for real believe in that, because I had to do that. I think I shared the story where, I was living check to check, making 80, 90 grand a year, which is good money, 6, 7 years ago. And I still was broke for a week and a half before my next check. Like, where they do that at, right? And so that's why I said, I wanted to create a future of me. Like, what does the future me look like? It can't be this dude struggling check to check, trying to take care of these kids. And so I have a quick assignment that I want to give to this group here. And we're going to talk about some real estate. Don't you worry. But I need to go back a step here. Actually, I'm sorry, I don't have my slide together. I want to just go back and give you guys a quick assignment that I do with some of my college kids when I'm speaking out at them. So grab a notepad and pen or your tablet, iPad, whatever you're using to record this information so that you can go back to it. I'm really a huge believer in people writing things down. It is scientifically proven that more than 65% of the information you write down is retainable. It's recallable. You can come to it faster than you trying to jot it down in your text in your phone or that kind of thing, because now you're focused on every word and not the principle of what I'm saying. So write it down if you can. But this is January 12th, which is yesterday was the 12th, but today is January 13th, 2021. We're going to project into the future. We're going to start looking at the future you real quickly before I go into my real estate slide, because this is important. You've got to be able to see that future before you can live that future. So I got some key affirmations that I want you to write down. You don't have to share your answers to these things, but I definitely want you to write them down and fill in the blank for yourself. I am a. Who are you? This is January 12th, January 13th, 2022, 1 year from today. What are you? I am a real estate investor. I am a successful business owner. I am a professional speaker. What are you? Who are you? What race are you running out there? Because again, when I was broke, I had to sit down and write, what kind of man am I looking to become a year from now? Because we're going to reverse engineer this thing. So write that down. I am a fill in your blank. Next, my income is X dollars per month. We're not going to just be living fly by the seat of our pants. You need some exact dollar amounts and numbers to strive for if you're going to pursue it. What we focus on expands. So go ahead and claim the income that you want. Don't worry. I'm not asking you to figure out how to do it. I'm only asking you to project the future you and imagine January of 2022, what income you will be earning per month. Is that number 5,000 a month, 20,000 a month, 50,000 a month? There's no number too large. It's just how much heart and integrity and grit that you have to go pursue that. But don't worry about how right now. Just put the number down, please. My available cash is, and my credit score is 7 something. Don't even play around in the sixes on the credit. Raquel is another credit professional here. She know we don't play that 600 game. Go shoot for the moon. But the available cash is important. I'm not talking about what's your credit card limit. I'm not talking about how much money you got in some off-land gold trunk of cash somewhere in your grandma's backyard that you can't get to for 6 months. How much cash can you get your hands on in the next week if you had to? And again, we're projecting a year from now. So these are numbers and things that you should be jotting down. And I'm going to tell you what we're going to do with it in a second. My net worth is, so just for clarity, your net worth is the value of all of the assets you have, your savings account, the value of your home, minus the debt service or the debts that are tied to that. So if you got a mortgage, if your house is worth $400,000, but you got a mortgage still owing $300,000, then the net worth is $100,000 in there. So how much is your net worth after the debts are paid off? And we talked about this last night. You know, in the Black community, our household net worth, at least as of a year and a half, 2 years ago, was about $17,000 per household. Caucasian and white families are at $171,000 household net worth. So you need to know what that number is. And you really want to measure every year that this number has increased. Just like Brandon said, in your business, you want your market value to increase. Well, your net worth is how you measure your personal worth in the world, okay? All right, so visualize this. This reality can be you. This is how we talk about creating your future self. You got to know what the future self even looks like, okay? So do what you got to do, but put that out there somewhere. And for me, this is something that I have on my mirror where I'm brushing my teeth a couple times a day. It's on my screensaver. I mean, it's everywhere. Just when I feel like, man, I'm running a race that I can't even accomplish, I get a pop-up notification. Hey, you are gonna make this much money. You are worth this. And it's like I'm motivating myself without the need for somebody to get me on track. So anyway, thank you, Brandon. This is an exercise that I think everybody should implement. So, all right, so that's the rah-rah. Let's get into some real estate stuff here. So 90% of all millionaires, I know y'all have heard this, have real estate in their portfolio. They own some real estate. 2021, position yourself, please, to buy some real estate. If you already got real estate, kudos to you. Now it's about trying to figure out, is this the time to refinance so I can lower that payment, lower the interest, lower the cost of my remaining balance on that mortgage? Do I have a property that I've inherited or that I've come across some kind of way and I need to, put that to make that an income producing property? Now is the time, okay? So I want to throw out some ideas because there were some questions in the questionnaire about what are some good properties to start with? What's a good way to get into real estate investing? I always suggest single family properties under 1,500 square feet. Why do I think that's important? First of all, the majority of families are going to be small families. They got a dog. They need a backyard with a fence. They want a garage to cover their, their car and vehicle, whatever. But more importantly, they want a house where their kids can have their own room. And they definitely don't want to have no neighbors knocking on their ceiling, banging on the walls next door. So even if they're renting a house, they would prefer to rent a house over an apartment or something to that effect. Plus, if it's under 1,500 square feet, it lowers your cost of rehab if you have to do rehab on the property. For example, you need to do a new paint job on that. Your contractor is going to charge you X dollars to come out, and usually it's based on the square footage of the property. Well, how big is your house? Well, it's 2,500 square feet. Well, I'm going to charge you about $3,000 to get that done. I mean, $1.25 or something per square footage. Whereas if it's smaller, now you're only paying maybe, $1,700 to get that house painted. So things like that, putting flooring in, these are things that the novice real estate investor will not be thinking about. I'll be honest with you, when my wife and I went and got our first rental property down there in San Antonio, she, and partly me, but mostly she, was looking at it like, oh, we got to put the chandeliers up. We got to get these nice fixtures. Cut that. This is not that house. You're not living here. We don't want it to look crazy and cheap, but we really want it to be safe. We want it to be clean. We want it to be functional. We don't want it to be the best looking house because it's a rental property. And no matter how much you screen, sometimes you're going to have tenants that are just the wear and tear of it. You might have kids running all up and down the hallways and using their Crayola markers on the walls. You don't want to have to deal with that as a major expense, especially if you're paying for the top dollar of paints and stuff like that. So keep that in mind. Townhouses are great in certain markets. Dallas is a great townhouse and even possibly condominium, but I'll tell you the difference. Townhouses, you actually can own it. You can alter it if you like. Whereas condominiums are typically locked in. It's in a row. You own a part of a lot. So there's a lot more scrutiny about anything that you want to do. Okay. Very wise advice. Furnish it to where it's functional so it doesn't eat up your profits. That's what this is all about, sir. Profits and continuing to build that so you can go into the next property. But remember, with townhouses, they typically come with a homeowners association fee, an HOA fee. So we talk about cutting into profits. That's one of the fastest way to cut down your cash flow every month is to have to pay a HOA $100, $200 a month, and your profit is only $450. So why you want to give them folks that money? So something to think about. However, some of these young executives are paying $2,500, $2,800 a month. So, they want to look flashy, and sometimes you can attract those type of renters to your property. Duplexes are tremendous cash generating income properties. One, because if you decided to live in one side, you now can get the property financed as if it's a primary home. So lower down payments, better rates, other programs are available for you. And then you can always rent out the other side and generate some cash flow from a tenant, and they're basically paying your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance on that property. You may not have a profit after you pay the mortgage, but somebody else paying your mortgage. So it's a win-win, and they're paying down your principal balance on that mortgage, and the equity is going up, the tax benefits, and so on and so forth. You really want to win, you can do it on a quadruplex, and you live in one unit and rent out 3 units, and now you're really winning big. This is particularly great for those military personnel out there that have those GI bills and they can get military assistance. Now you're not paying any down payment. And so you're in a position now to where you are able to utilize that discount because you're in the military. You don't pay your closing cost, or excuse me, your down payment. You still have closing costs, but you won't have a down payment. And now you just got in this property that has 4 cash flowing doors, or at least 3, and you got into it for basically low cash. In some cases, less than $2,000, $3,000, and you own this property, and now you're renting it out. My sister, Sherry Brown, says my sister owns 4 plexes here and lives in Virginia. She's retired military. She winning all over the place, Sherry. She winning big, 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 and the tax benefits as a retired military personnel, tremendous. So these are the ways that you get in the game. All right. Any questions there?
Yes, sir. This is Micah here.
Hey,
Can you hear me, Mr. Victor?
Yes, sir.
I know you talked about all of the expenses that come with the residential properties. Can you touch a little bit on the property taxes?
Great question. So property taxes are definitely going to vary, and I'm not a CPA. You need to speak to a tax professional to get more in-depth discussion on this, or your lender if you do go the route of getting a conventional loan. But I will tell you this, that the taxes are going to vary based on the counties. Obviously, certain counties have better school district, better infrastructure with the roads and stuff. All of that plays into how much tax they're going to charge the residents of that county. Certain places, especially in Texas, they'll have what's called a PID, or it's a PUD, a public utility district tax, where you're paying for the sewage and all these type of things. So it is important to look at that. The taxes are going to be something that you really won't have a lot of control over, except for, and I'm giving y'all some of my my $250 consultation fee right here. I'm throwing it out there for you. Even if it's just your primary home or a rental property, you should protest your taxes every single year. Protest your taxes every single year. And I'll tell you why. Because first of all, most of the time your taxes are assessed based on some assessor driving up and down the street, taking pictures of the houses in there. Okay, these look to be valued at this amount. Well, maybe your house doesn't look the same as the other houses, or maybe you have some damages that would bring down the value of your house. So why are you paying the same amount of tax as your next door neighbor or your neighbors across the street? So it's something to think about. Definitely consult with me if you want to know how to do that. I protest all of my property taxes every year, and I win just about every year. And that saves me in real dollars anywhere from $25 a month in mortgage or taxes to I've had it save me as much as $100 per month in taxes just by protesting my taxes. All right, we're giving y'all game out here today. Did I answer your question, Mike?
Yes, sir. You answered my question. Spot on.
Good stuff.
That was a great question.
And that is a great question. These are just a few of the rental properties we still have. Kyle, Texas, which is just south of Austin. This was actually a property that we lived in over here to the left. We lived there for like a year and a half. Then I relocated to Dallas, and pretty much we turned that into a rental property. We were generating $1,700 a month when we first moved out. It's up to $1,850 a month now. The note on that one is still $1,400, so we still cash flow that. It's a great time in life right now for that one. Smyrna, this is in Georgia. This is about 5 miles from the new ballpark out there. I think it's called Truist or SunTrust Ballpark. Fast growing place. You know, when you're buying real estate, you want to look at places that are going to appreciate. They're starting to build around there. They're putting entertainment complexes. You're seeing companies moving into these places. These are jobs. These are security for that economy in that area. And so again, people will always want to rent a property where there's jobs, somewhere close to their home, and good school districts and things like that. I stumbled across this one over here in San Antonio. Do you have your properties in escrow? Great question. So the one that I lived in is in escrow. Smyrna, no escrow. San Antonio, yes, escrow. Great question. Yep, become familiar with the city plans by connecting with your local chambers of commerce. Man, great stuff. Boy, this is just wisdom on top of wisdom in this group right here, man. I'm gonna try to replay myself, bro.
Right. Hey, Vic, if I can, I'm gonna just give them this. This is, you know, and like you said, I charge $4.50 an hour for this. So right now I'm the chairman of the board for a chamber here in the local area, and I have 5 other clients that are chambers of commerce. I know the plans for the cities that are in it 3 years in advance. So when you're talking about real estate and let alone branding and relationships, by the time you see something being built, it's too late. Builders and other people that are putting up commercial real estate, they already know as well. They've already put in bids. So having this kind of information connect and knowing how to navigate the market, I mean, it's incredible. So good stuff, Vic.
Absolutely. No, you got good stuff because you're right.
I have a question. Have you ever tried to put your properties like for low income for them to rent out and that be funded through the state, like for people on like Section 8 housing?
So good question. There's another property, actually one of the ones I sold in San Antonio last year was actually in Converse, Texas. And that property wasn't intended to be a Section 8 property, but when the tenant came to me and said she already had her voucher, basically what happens in that situation is if her voucher covers the amount that I'm charging for rent, then what'll happen is we'll go ahead as the tenant, the San Antonio Housing Authority in this example sent me a document to complete, and then they sent out an inspector to inspect the house. And what they're looking for is just any safety issues. Are there outlets exposed where kids can get fried in their bedroom? Are there cracks or broken panels in the fence in the back where there's a neighbor that has a dog that might get to the kids? Like anything that's a safety issue, they're going to make you fix that. But once you've been approved by the housing authority or whatever the authorizing authority is for that county, then it is payola, baby, because once they approve you, you got a good tenant that you don't have to worry about getting the rent. The money is going to show up on the last day of the previous month. So for February rent, it's showing up on the 31st. It's one of those lovely notifications I told you about that you can check, and the thing is, for those people that are concerned about the caliber of Section 8 people, man, throw that out of your head. You still screen your tenants. You still are vetting these people. And number one, the second that somebody is smoking weed in your house or bringing 38 other people to live in there, you report them to the housing authority. And they assure you they will go in and investigate it. And a person typically doesn't want to lose their voucher because they let their cousin Ray and his friends come in there and start throwing parties. So I love tenants as long as you're still screening them properly.
Good. So what kind of homes do you recommend looking for? So like we just got through discussing like the type of homes of communities growing and thriving. Is it a difference, or you just, is it a set home where you don't have to put that much money into for that type of tenant?
For that type of tenant, you want to go again where the target is. If that's the target market you're looking for, where are they living? Where are those apartment complexes that they sick of living in? And are there any houses in the neighboring neighborhoods that are in your price point where you can afford to buy them? That's where you want to go. Go where they are. A lot of times they don't want to leave the school district necessarily, but I come from a place of I want them to live in a better school district. Get those kids exposed to different information and being seen by different people. Maybe their kid is a genius in STEM and they're not going to get recognized in a school district that's a 2 rating out of 10, where you have a rental property that kind of fits their budget and it's in an area that might be a 6 as far as the school rating. Those are the type of things you do to not only make your profit, but also to help elevate the culture. All right. So I want to be respectful of time. Those are all great questions, Alexis. Thank you so much. Let me slide through this next one real quick. I just want to throw this in here. This is the other company that I run, 555 Equity. Again, we talked about some folks that are just sitting on money in their 401k, their IRA account. They really don't want to go through all of this, figuring out the property, screening the people, trying to manage the properties and doing all the paperwork and dealing with the contractors and stuff. You just want to park your money with us. We're a secure entity. We are allowing people to invest with us so that we can help them get 8, 10, in some cases, 15% returns on their money. They're getting cash flow every month. And over a 2-year period, they get their entire principal back, plus again, that 8 to 10, maybe 15% return. So if you're interested in talking about that, we have a credibility kit that we send out to people. This is only, again, for serious people that just don't want to get their hands dirty. They're just looking to put some money to grow and while they're working and doing their thing, okay? All right, so real quick on the commercial side, there may be some folks that, again, are thinking about some commercial properties. And let's just run through real quickly a couple commercial things. Anything that's 5 units or more is considered a commercial property. So we talked about the quadruplexes. Those are still considered residential. But once you get a 5th unit, that becomes a commercial property. 5 to 20 units are sweet, sweet spots because typically those are owned by mom and pops, a little husband and wife that have been running that house for 20, 30 years. They sick of managing that stuff now. They're ready to cash out. And typically you can go to them and say, look, I don't have $500,000 to give you, but I do have 25, and let me get a situation where you seller finance that to me. And a lot of times without the credit or anything, you can jump into one of these type of deals. These are great, great properties to get involved with if you got a little bit of cash. And then I'm starting to explore more of the small commercial spaces, co-working spaces, storage spaces are tremendous investments. Oh my God. Not to mention the people that end up not taking care of their lease there. You now acquire this personal property becomes yours after a certain number of days or months or weeks, excuse me, depending on what state you're in. And you can auction that off for additional revenue. So those are great things. Last thing I'm gonna show again, I want everybody to get a screenshot of this. This is the Fico score algorithm. We had 33% of our participants that said that credit has hindered them in some capacity with moving forward with either their business or with real estate. So I want you to just get this snapshot in your mind. The two most important factors, payment history and definitely capacity, which is your utilization. You know, if you're surfing the internet for things to do to get your credit scores to a certain place, they're gonna always tell you, keep your credit card balances under 30%. Well, Raquel can tell you this, and I've done it with my clients. Our strategy is 10 or 15% is the max that I want your credit card limit to be so that you can get in the 700 club and not just teeter-tottering at 620. And again, I do want to invite Raquel. I don't often do this, but please drop your contact information in the chat. Anybody that does have credit challenges, you can work with her. That's her business. I do credit action plans. So if you end up getting consultations with me, I can put together an action plan for you as part of your consulting fee. But she is truly in the business now. So I want to give an opportunity to somebody else to get that business and to try to help out some folks. So get a snapshot of this. This is the FICO score. We're not talking about Credit Karma. If you don't know the difference, holla at me. All right. So Brandon says we have banking strategy partnerships. Yes, that help us accelerate credit as well. Yep, that's what we do. So let's do some giveaways, man. Let's do some giveaways. What you got, Brandon? Oh, you're still muted, sir.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is first of all, thank you, Victor, for dropping those gems, giving that great value. What I have is I have a copy of my my book, my latest book called The Art of Business, and I want to mail a copy of it to you if you're local, and you got the and you're okay and you got some hand sanitizer. You can stop by my office and pick it up. But if you're outside of the city or if you want to get it mailed to you, we want to give away a free copy. Vic, how you want to do? You want to do a trivia and give it out, or how you want to
Let's
do
do a
it?
trivia. Why
Okay.
not?
Let's see if anybody was. Make sure nobody wasn't on mute and snoring in the background. Let's see. All right. Thank you, Sherry, for the great feedback. You want to start, or you want to kick it
Yeah,
off?
I want to start. I'm gonna make it easy, man. I'm gonna make it easy for you. Make it easy. Give me 3 things that he told you to look for for your target market. It's 3 principles. He beat it down with a baseball bat. 3 principles. First person to drop that in the chat, I guess he'll be willing to send you the book.
Yeah.
It's gotta be somebody remember it. Ha. Uh-oh. Come on with it.
And it's an open book test, so if you got screenshots and notes, go
If you've been
go
taking
for
notes, we're gonna give him a hint. 1,
So funny. I was about to pull up my notes too.
this is the
I was like, I got it.
$1,000 rule. $1,000 rule. Are you?
What? Right on point. She did not waste a space on that comment.
Good
Is it
job, Lorraine.
Lorraine, thank you so much. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm going to put in the comment section here, and I got another giveaway that I'm gonna give away to everybody, regardless of the who gets it right. Lorraine, if you don't mind, send me an email and shoot me your mailing address information, and we'll make sure to get that out to you. Yeah, Micah as well. Financial capacity, perceived value, and compatible interests. Appreciate that, man. I'm so encouraged to know that Yeah, he said, "Oh, she got it first." Yeah, but hey, at least we know you got it. Vic, you wanna do your freebie? I got something
Yeah.
else I'm gonna give to everybody as well after you go.
So I'm going to do either a free audiobook or why not? I'll throw out a copy, autographed copy of Proven Pathways to Wealth and Happiness, some exact action items on how I got out of that paycheck to paycheck living. And the last 2 chapters outline specifically how I did that first rental property deal. So instead of paying me for my consultation for $1,800, you can come in and just read the last 2 chapters of the book, and you might get close to getting that first deal done. So trivia question. Well, you throw the question out there.
You know what? I've got a question, and it's gonna be based on your content. So, earlier Vic was talking about the different types of what makes it residential versus what makes it commercial. Earlier, he described a certain number of units that when it's a certain amount of units in the property, it no longer is residential. It is now commercial.
Woo! Raquel jumped in there, boy.
Ooh,
I'm just
look at
saying.
that.
Fast
Look at
fingers, boy.
that.
Everybody's knew that was
Yeah,
good
yeah.
stuff.
Really
Good
on
stuff.
it.
Who's
Boy, she
first?
would,
Yeah, Raquel, you got
Raquel,
She is
she
on it.
would
the audio
kill
book
it. She
or
would
the
kill it on Jeopardy
Oh my God.
or Weakest Link. She would kill it.
For 1,000, Alex. Thank you.
Raquel, you want the paperback or you want the audio book?
Oh
Let me know
wow.
which one you want. We'll get that over to you. So that's what's up. And Frank, if you don't mind, jot down Raquel for me, audio book or paperback. Yep.
All right,
Good
I'm
stuff.
loving it. I'm loving
Good
it.
stuff, man. This is great. I really love it. So, are there any questions right now? Are there any questions that anybody has before we go into kind of wrapping this thing up for the day?
Yes, I have a question. This is Micah again. I bank with Chase, and you guys are talking about credit and all this other information. They kind of discouraged me from opening a credit card. They told me that if I get disapproved or get denied, then it'll potentially affect my credit. So, what do you guys have to say? Should I go ahead and
Well, I want to first say that because I know you personally and I know your age. So they probably said that because you are under 21. So, they don't want you to have a risk of not getting approved, but you can always start with like a secure credit card. You put a $200 deposit down and you make payments again, not charging more than what we said was 15%. So you don't want to charge more than, $30 on that card ever, and then make those payments on time. That'll boost your credit tremendously. And you probably want to start there, especially based on your age. And, until you start generating another level of income, then you probably have your score at least over 650 by managing that card well. And then you can go ahead and start moving up the ranks and get an unsecured card and that type of thing. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm gonna add something to that. So when you deal with banking and relationship, my company has over 75 strategic partnerships. Some of them are banks. You want to get to the point where you can create a unique private experience. I can go into some of my banking relationships, walk into the branch and talk directly to the branch manager. They stop what they're doing. We have a conversation. I don't have to be doing a transaction. I'm just bringing them up to speed on what we're doing. In that kind of situation, even if they're telling you that information, they should be creating a 6-month, year, 2-year game plan on how they're going to support you and help you achieve that. That's the kind of relationships that we have. Um, we have some relationships with one bank in particular, not necessarily Chase, but even if it was, we create a different kind of experience. No one that I know can just walk into a branch and say, "Hey, where's the branch manager? Let's go out to lunch." They're gonna call security on you.
wow.
So we have a different, my clients typically, when we do our business coaching, we set it up to where we introduce you directly to the senior management. If it wasn't that going on right now, they take you out to lunch on their dime just to make sure they add some value to you and walk you through the process. So that's some of the things that we do in guidance, providing guidance on, regardless of if you're in state, if you're in Texas or not. We have clients in North Carolina, we do the same exact thing. So yeah, I think the advice that Victor gave was great as well.
Absolutely. Dominate today,
Not
folks.
not
Get that
only
credit.
that, I'd like to chime into something else.
Please.
When you
Hmm.
have a relationship, because I personally come from the banking world. So I've worked with Chase, I've worked with Wells Fargo personally as a banker.
Mm.
Um, Definitely, and I am team big bank because I do understand the necessity of the numbers and how to, I don't want to say manipulate because that's not the proper verbiage, but how to gain access to what their benefits are.
Hmm.
But when you are starting off and you are building, from my experience, definitely the secured card is an option. Piggybacking is also a good option when you're trying to build. But something that I always stress is trying a credit union. I'm not a citizen, so it's a little bit difficult for me to be transparent. I'm not a citizen yet. Hopefully this year will be the year. But with credit unions and you guys being citizens of, if you're a citizen of the United States, they give you a lot of benefits, and they do have they're more a relationship bank versus what is your dollars and cents and how much you keep in it. Because with a credit union, they do look at the fact that your direct deposit comes in, especially if you come in and you have conversations with the tellers. When they realize that your life is changing, they're utilizing that to help you get to the next step, which might be a car loan, or when you're ready for a mortgage, they're going to help you with that, and they will work with your numbers a little bit better. So I would say, if you're trying to get your feet wet in building your credit, if you're going to do something, try your local credit union. They are very, very much relationship based, and a lot of the credit unions, depending on where you're located, actually give you more access to credit lines than big banks do off out the gate. Just a
Excellent.
chime in, sorry.
That's good. That's
Thank you
good.
so much, Raquel, for that. Greatly, greatly appreciate it for sure. Yep. So that's how you do it, man. That's how you do it. I just want to, so we're at the top of the hour. Want to again be respectful of time, but we do want to throw out these few little things because again, we can only cram so much information in 55 minutes, right? So again, if you missed any part of yesterday, today, if you think you might miss some of tomorrow, or if you just want to sow seed into us for the value that you're getting from this, feel free to, go ahead and get you a copy of the $29 replay. This is information, obviously, that you can sit down with your family and share. This is the type of stuff we got to be doing if we're going to dominate in our businesses and dominate in our personal finances. And so I want to throw that link out there. Also, Frank has dropped it into the link, into the chat. And then I just want to throw this out there for anybody that's looking to get some laser session with both myself, Brandon, and myself together, where we'll spend, a full hour or whatever with you just to go through the challenges that you might be facing with your business, or if you want to get into real estate and just answer questions. We're doing a combined consultation. I think combined that's worth about $900 for that hour, but we're throwing it out there for the $297 just because this is again a private session. And then for now, I'm gonna throw one more out there. This is for my real estate. Oops, I went too far. Well, since we're on this page, I guess it was meant for me to show this. For anybody that really wants to take it to the next level, we've decided we'll do a 6-month strategic plan. This is exclusively private, personalized. You meet with us only. We're giving you access to us through FaceTime and through Messenger and whatnot, asking any questions anytime over a 6-month period. That program is drastically cut. Again, we splitting this. We got families to feed as well, and our time and expertise is worth it. But if you feel like this is something that's valuable to you, that $10,000 investment in yourself over 6 months could easily take you to 50, 150 or more in revenue by the end of this year, next year. So just again, for those people that are interested in taking it to the next level, you don't have to do this. We're going to be fine with or without it. But I just want to, again, make it a contribution to folks that are interested in throwing it out there. Brandon, anything on your end, sir?
Yeah, real quick, so that we've already passed our time. So this is what I want to do, because I need for you all to get the most out of this. So this is kind of an action item / a freebie. If you have a logo, or you have a logo, whether you're 100% confident in what you have or not, here's what I'm gonna do. I've already had a conversation offline with a couple of people. If you have a logo and you want me to review it, I'm not gonna nitpick it. I'm gonna tell you how much money you either can generate by improving it, or if it's just fine how it is. I'll do a preliminary report. Normally I charge to do a comprehensive brand assessment. I charge $550. I will do a preliminary assessment free. What you have to do is email me your logo. Now, the format, I'm not going to go into all that because that's going to tell me, that's going to be a part of the assessment. So just send me your logo, email it to me. I would say email it to me in a print ready format. If you don't know what that means, just send me the best one you have. That's going to be a part of the assessment. Now, that's if you want to take advantage of that. I'm not going to go into a high level report because it'll take more time, but I want to be able to give you some quick feedback while we're in the middle of this 3-day session. I don't want this to be about just, you know, us talking, making talking points. I need for you to get the most out of this because we got one more day. Any questions about how to send that to me or any questions related to that particular assignment?
Hey, feel free to drop your email in there too if you want to.
Yes, sir. Let me go ahead and put that in there.
And
And if you put in the subject line logo,
assessment or something. I don't know.
yeah, logo assessment. Yeah, we call it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is good stuff. Greatly appreciate the attendees. I mean, everybody that came in, those of you, pretty much everybody here was here yesterday as well. We appreciate that. We really hope you're getting value from this. And again, something that you can, you know, some nuggets here and there that you can take action on right away. And, you know, again, feel free to send Brandon your logo assessment. And I'll take it another step since, you know, again, we want this to be a value add. If you have an investment property, or excuse me, you've inherited a property, or you already have a house that you're looking at, you're ready to take a look at to see if you can make that an income producing property, even from an Airbnb perspective or something like that, you know, let's talk about it. Reach out to me and I'll be willing to do that for you during these 3 days, or, you know, now one more day. So let's do it. Let's try to help you to dominate today and tomorrow and the next day and going forward. So any other questions before we shut this baby down for the night? Cool.
No, but I did want to say something. I don't know if you guys have taken Vic before. When I say he is serious about his coaching, I'm getting the pleasure of connecting with Brandon, but I have had coaching with Mr. Vic, and Vic, when we last did a meeting, didn't I go up over 75% in 2 months?
Yeah, I wasn't going to say.
I think it's like a 2 to 3 month period. I'm just saying, let's talk facts. It was an amazing experience to be able to connect with someone, because although we both do credit repair, we do attack it a little bit differently, but just the material and how to go about it, I literally increased my business in less than 60 days over 75%. So it is worth the time. The level of accountability to help you boss up is extremely and immensely worth the time that you're putting in for your business. And it's also a tax write-off. So go ahead and bless him while he's blessing you, because it was definitely worth it for my business. I can definitely speak to that.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
I really appreciate you saying that. And I'm glad that you got the results that we wanted you to get. Actually, more than what we was planning for you to get. So that's super, super great.
Cool. Yeah, well, thank you guys so much. I know that you guys have been taking notes. Tomorrow, I plan on using one more illustration, but I'm gonna try to because I've already done an illustration yesterday. So to maximize time, I'm gonna deal with some more concepts that you guys submitted in the forms. And let's go out with a bang for tomorrow. Sign in, early check-in, 6:45. You know, if we get a good portion of the people signed in early, we might start 3-5 minutes earlier just to get the most juice out of it.
Right. And I will say this last thing too, if you guys are on social media and you follow us, it means a ton to us if you're willing to just throw out there, hey, I've been enjoying these, you know, trainings with Brandon and Victor. It means a lot to us, especially if you're on LinkedIn where we're both at, or Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
That just means a lot to us. And feel free to invite others to it. I know they missed the first couple of days, but feel free to invite others to the session tomorrow. It means tons to us. And who knows, we may have some extra for you guys, especially those that show up all 3 days. So thank you again. Have a great evening. Go out and win tomorrow. And we'll see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, folks. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.